The Danbury Trashers are a defunct United Hockey League (UHL) ice hockey team that was located in Danbury, Connecticut. They were first established in 2004 as an expansion team named for their owner's business ventures. James Galante purchased the franchising rights for $500,000 and named his 17-year-old son, AJ, president and general manager. As part of the franchising agreement, Galante invested an additional $1.5 million to upgrade the team's home arena, Danbury Ice Arena, from a 750-seat facility to a 3,000-seat venue. In their first season, the Trashers set a league record for penalty minutes. The season witnessed 2 separate brawls and multiple player suspensions. Danbury finished second in their division and were eliminated in the playoffs by eventual Colonial Cup champions, the Muskegon Fury. In their second year, the Trashers won the Eastern Division and reached the finals. Though they lost the championship, Danbury handed the Kalamazoo Wings their only loss of the playoffs. At the end of the team's second season, Galante was arrested on 72 various charges including conspiring to violate the Racketeer-Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, RICO. He pleaded guilty, was sentenced to 87 months of imprisonment, and had to forfeit his ownership interests in 25 trash hauling companies. During the same time the Trashers disbanded, citing financial concerns, including travel costs. The Danbury Trashers were founded as an expansion team in the United Hockey League, UHL, on April 1, 2004, by James Galante, a garbage disposal mogul, who paid a $500,000 franchise fee to the league. Galante had considered investing in the New Haven Knights prior to the franchise folding. He purchased the franchising rights after seeing the enthusiasm for hockey in Danbury at his son AJ's high school games. He also wanted to give AJ experience in how to manage a professional sports franchise, naming him president and general manager. AJ was a 17-year-old high school student at the time, and according to UHL Commissioner Richard Brosal, some around the league thought it was an April Fool's Day joke. After graduating high school, Galante attended Manhattanville College while maintaining his organizational duties. The new team was named the Trashers, a reference to the elder Galante's main business, with the logo being designed by AJ's friends. The Trashers were to play in the Danbury Ice Arena, a 750-seat ice rink, used for the local hockey leagues. As part of the franchising agreement, the arena needed the maximum capacity expanded. Galante invested an additional $1.5 million to renovate the arena, turning it into a 3,000-seat facility. Galante envisioned a physical team with a bad boy image and to become the evil empire of the UHL. To that end, he brought in tough guys, Garrett Burnett, Roman Durr, and Brad Winfield, who previously set a UHL record for penalty minutes, PIMs, during the 2002-03 season with 576. He also brought in skilled players such as Jim Duhart, who led the UHL in scoring the previous season, former National Hockey League, NHL, player Brent Gretzky, and Michael Rupp, who played for the team during the 2004-05 NHL lockout. For the goaltender, Galante acquired Scott Sterling, who was the most valuable player of the ECHL the previous season. As for the coaches, Todd Sterling, son of former New York Islanders head coach Steve Sterling and brother of Scott, was named head coach. AJ's former high school head coach was hired as an assistant coach. After the team had been assembled, the Hockey News picked the Trashers to finish second in the league. The Trashers' first season began with the team playing around .500 hockey. Then a quarter of the way through the 2004-05 season, they went on a 7-game unbeaten streak that moved them into first place in the Eastern Division. The streak was part of 9 consecutive games without a regulation loss. This lifted the Trashers into a tie for first place in the league. The winning streak was also witnessed to one of 2 brawls during the season. In a game against the Kalamazoo Wings on December 1, Winfield attempted to instigate a fight after an altercation with a Wings player. The player refused to fight, but as Winfield skated away, the player grabbed Winfield's jersey and pulled him back over an outstretched leg. Winfield's skate caught on the ice as he fell backwards, breaking his ankle. The play incited a brawl, where Durr fought with 2 players, attempted to kick a linesman, and charged the Wings bench, before the officials were able to subdue him. His actions led to a 20-game suspension by the league, while the Kalamazoo player received 5 games. Upset with the officiating, James Galante went down to ice level to voice his opinion. Galante entered the ice via the penalty box, where he got into a shouting match with a linesman and allegedly punched him. For his actions, Galante was charged with misdemeanor assault and fined by the UHL for leaving the owner's box. The UHL stated that because of the disturbances on the ice they could not determine what actually happened. The linesman was suspended for 5 games for his part in the altercation. He later asked that the assault charges against Galante be dropped. After this request, prosecutors still intended to pursue the charges, but eventually dropped them, citing lack of evidence. After the brawl, the Trashers win 8-2-0 in their next 10 games. A second brawl occurred months later in a game versus the Adirondack Frostbite. At the end of the brawl, the Trashers' Chad Wagner was being removed from the ice by the linesman when he broke away and attacked the Adirondack bench, grabbing their head coach. Compounding the issue, 2 other Trashers players left the penalty box and skated towards the bench. A third player sucker punched an opponent, breaking his nose. For his part in the brawl, Wagner was banned from the UHL, while the 2 players, who left the penalty box, received 5 and 10 game suspensions respectively, and the third player was suspended for the remainder of the season and playoffs. Head coach Sterling was also suspended 3 games for not being able to control his players. It was the 16th time the league had suspended a Trashers player. Danbury again found success after the brawl, going 8-3-0 in their next 11 games. On February 23, 2005, the Trashers again hosted the Adirondack Frostbite. World Wrestling Entertainment superstar John Cena was on hand for what resembled more of a WWE event than a hockey game. The teams combined for 106 penalty minutes in the first period, and 6 game misconducts were issued in the first 10 minutes of the game. The Danbury Trashers would go on to win the game 4-2. The Trashers struggled towards the end of the season, having both a 4 and 3 game losing streak and posting a 2-6-2 record. Danbury finished the regular season with 95 points, second place in the Eastern Division, 9 points behind Adirondack. They also set a UHL record PIMS at 2,776. In the first round of the playoffs, they faced off against the Frostbite, winning the series 4-2. In the second round, Danbury faced the Muskegon Fury, who led the Central Division with 111 points. The Trashers were eliminated 4-1 by Muskegon, who went on to win the league championship, the Colonial Cup. At season's end, the Trashers were announced the winners of the UHL's Merchandiser of the Year award. In the off-season, the Trashers changed head coaches, bringing in Paul Gillis, who had coached the Quad City Mallards the previous season. Sterling remained with the team in a scouting and consulting role. They also brought in a new goaltender, Sylvain Daigle, who had won 3 Colonial Cups with the Fury. Daigle was taken by the Port Huron Flags in an expansion draft and traded to Danbury for their top goal scorer Mike Bayrak. They also reached an agreement to have all of their games broadcast on local ESPN radio-affiliated stations and to have select games broadcast on tape delay locally on Comcast Cable. The Trashers began the season with 2 shootout games, winning one and losing the other. Despite earning 3 out of a possible 4 points, Gillis was unhappy with the team's performance. His concerns were later proved accurate, as Danbury started the year with a 4-5-2 record. The Trashers hovered around the .500 mark going into December, where they started the month with a 6-game win streak that brought them within 5 points of first place in Eastern Division. They finished December without a regulation loss, going 11-0-3. Danbury finished the season strong with a 7-game win streak in March and finished the year on a 6-game win streak. The winning stakes helped Danbury win the Eastern Division, finishing with 107 points. 9 ahead of Adirondack. In the first round, the Trashers faced off against Gillis' former team, the Mallards. Although the Trashers began the playoffs as the 2nd seed, they had lost both regular season matchups with the Mallards. Danbury lost the first 2 games of the 7-game series at home and were facing games 3-5 on the road. The Trashers won games 3 and 4 to tie the series before losing game 5. Facing elimination, Danbury won the final 2 games to win the series 4-2 and advance to the second round. The second round was a rematch with Muskegon. The Trashers took a 3-2 series lead into Game 6, which went to triple overtime before Danbury finally eliminated the defending champions. In the finals, the Trashers faced the Kalamazoo Wings, who had not lost a game in the playoffs. Danbury lost Game 1 of the series, but rebounded to defeat the K-Wings in Game 2. It proved to be the only game that the K-Wings lost that year, as they won the next 3 games to capture the championship. During the finals, Daigle set a UHL record for most saves in a single playoff year with 511. In June 2006, James Galante was charged with 72 various charges, including racketeering. One of the charges that pertained directly to the Trashers was wire fraud. which resulted from the interstate faxing of fraudulent salary cap documents. The Trashers had circumvented the UHL's $275,000 annual salary cap by giving players or their wives no-show positions within one of the disposal companies or giving them housing allowance checks for sums which had already been paid. Estimates were that the Trashers had exceeded the salary cap by $475,000, making the total payroll closer to $750,000. For his part in aiding with violating the salary cap, former head coach Sterling was also charged with wire fraud. He pleaded guilty and was given 5 years of probation. Galante pleaded guilty to 1 count of conspiring to violate the Federal Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, RICO, 1 count of conspiring to defraud the Internal Revenue Service, and 1 count of conspiring to commit wire fraud. He was sentenced to 87 months of imprisonment, had to forfeit his ownership interests in 25 trash hauling companies, a Southbury residence, 6 racing cars, a trailer used to haul them, and $448,153.10 in cash seized from his business office and homed out. Amid the controversy, the Trashers disbanded. Adirondack failed to secure an arena lease and disbanded, with their closest geographical competitor gone. Danbury folded over financial concerns, including travel costs. The players from both Danbury and Adirondack were placed into a dispersal draft and selected by the remaining teams in the UHL. The team was replaced by the New England Stars of the Northeastern Hockey League in 2006.